And joining me now from London is British political commentator Tom Grass. Tom, this is really the who's who of events with other royals, politicians and world leaders in attendance. But explain to us a little bit about the significance of such an event like this, which also happens to come at a time of an economic downturn around the world, which has also impacted the global financial capital of London.
Well, yes. I mean, most people in Britain are still staunch monarchists. They're looking forward to the coronation in a few hours from now. Hardly anyone's been alive to see the previous one more than 70 years ago. However, as you just said, there's very high inflation in Britain in particular. The coronation is going to cost at least £250 million, lots of pomp and ceremony, lots of police protection and so on. And, you know, we've had other big events fairly recently. Harry and Meghan's wedding was very big 5 or 6 years ago. The Queen's funeral last year went on for a long time. So I think there are an increasing number of people in Britain who are rather bored with the whole thing, who think it's a waste of money. Younger people in particular, I know people who are looking forward to next week's Eurovision Song Contest in Britain more than they are to the coronation in a few hours, or they're looking forward to football matches and so on. So I'm not sure majesty and royalty carries quite the same weight that it has done in the past. And I think the royal family are aware of this and they're trying to adapt a bit. They're trying to reach out to the people. Charles's son, Prince William, took the London Tube, the Underground, the Metro, in a show of kind of being everyman today. And also he's pulled a pint at a pub and so on. So there's an attempt to sort of reach out a bit, but a lot of people are going to say they're very far removed from ordinary people, and what do we really need them for in the modern age?
Well, let's dive into that just a little bit. How central is the idea of a monarchy in Britain in recent times? We know that they have made these major attempts at modernization. Is there a sense of support for its continuation, or are there also negative connotations related to its colonial past? For example, we know in some places of past British rule, for example, South Africa, they are urging the king to return to them the world's largest diamond, which is going to be crusted in the jewels of the scepter that he's going to be holding. Are other countries around the world, including Britain, sort of seeing the negative connotations the monarchy has?
Well, certainly a number of Commonwealth countries that used to be part of the British Empire are reassessing their links with their former colonial power, Britain, and the monarchy, of course, embodies that rule over them. And yes, people are questioning us exactly how did the royal family become billionaires? Where does all this wealth come from? Even in Britain, you know, there's inheritance tax very high, 40% for wealthy people in Britain, and yet King Charles did not have to pay it on the billions he inherited from his mother, Queen Elizabeth. And a lot of people are asking why. Well, and indeed, if he's a billionaire, why doesn't he chip into the costs of the ceremony tomorrow?
Right.
So, yes, there are questions being asked, although most people, you know, a lot of people would argue that it brings a sense of stability in Britain. And if you look at countries that don't have monarchies, for example, the United States, there is such political polarization. In France, we've seen riots against President Macron. In Israel, of course, there's been all this polarization and mass street protests. So some people would say that the monarch unites people in a way that a politician never could. And some people would say the reason Britain never had fascism or communism or revolution in modern times is because the monarchy has adapted and brought a sense of stability. On the other hand, it's not very democratic, is it, to have a hereditary head of state that no one elected? And this family in particular, because we see it close up, is largely dysfunctional, or sorry, partially dysfunctional. If you look at Prince Andrew and the Epstein scandal, if you look at Prince Harry leaving the country in a huff, if you look at Charles's own marriage to Diana, I mean, he was really in love with Camilla throughout, and as we know, they both had many affairs, Charles and Diana, and then Diana tragically died. So we've seen this family in a very human drama, because they are, of course, humans. And people are thinking, well, it's entertaining, but so is a Netflix program, or so is some royal Disney film. And do we really need all this waste of money, as they would see it? Other people would say we absolutely do. It's a spectacle like no other. It unites Britain both as a country and with its history. And indeed, Britain's official name is the United Kingdom, and
Right.
tomorrow we will have a king.
Insightful analysis there from British political commentator Tom Gross. Thank you so much for joining us live from London.